every board of education. They're all corporations, they're all franchises, and every single one of them create debt. So for example, if I get a traffic ticket and I'm brought into court and the fine is $300, there are bonds issued in the millions against that $300 debt. So they're hypothecating the franchise, the public circulating monetized debt currency, and they're trading these off book in the millions, trillions, and huge amounts. And this is how they've built the entire world system. So to boil it down to the essence, we volunteer to be the surety. The franchise is the debtor facility through which and by which all of the money as we know it today is created. But if I get called into court and I show up and the bailiff says, okay, all rise, and is Kenneth Cousins here? And I say, yes, I am. I've just volunteered and allowed them to continue under the presumption of consent. The 13th Amendment established what involuntary servitude was, but it's perfectly legal to have voluntary servitude. And so therefore, everything has to be by voluntary consent. So the voluntary consent comes from the fact that from birth and very soon after birth, first of all, the mother volunteers to abandon the baby and register it into the royal trust. So the minute a baby is born, it is registered by the mother, and the state considers that the father abandoned the landed estate of this living newborn baby. So the baby becomes chattel property and is registered into the royal estate, registered into the royal estate, and registered into the royal estate, registered into the royal estate, and we are considered to have abandoned that estate, and the executor now becomes the state itself. So the entire system, the United States bureaucracy under the administrative procedures of the bankruptcy that I described, and the whole world system, because every national entity is also a corporation that's also bankrupt, that's channeled by and through Washington, D.C. to the City of London. It's all one big corporation and one global estate. Well, what is a person? A person is what is called a juridical personality, which means a fiction in law. The franchise that I described is a person.
They gave their heart. At the wild card game, it's such an incredible story. At the wild card game, you were down by 2 runs in the 8th. With bases loaded and 2 outs, that's when breakout star Juan Soto. Where's Juan? Where's come here, Juan. Come.
Again, the very latest we know is that Soto's bond has been set at $15,000, and he's still in the process of getting bonded out right now. This is a developing story. We'll bring you the very latest as we get the information. Reporting live tonight from downtown, Camilla Rambaldi, News.
Thoughts and reflections regarding the state of Texas versus Juan Soto Jr. with consideration of the Texas Constitution and its Bill of Rights. A petition by address. Rights of accused in criminal prosecutions shall have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor. Freedom and sovereignty of the state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States and the maintenance of our free institutions, and the perpetuity of the Union depend upon the preservation of the right of local self-government, unimpaired to all the states. I will elaborate by the light of the United States Constitution.
Freedom had been hunted round the globe. Reason was considered as rebellion, and the slavery of fear had made men afraid to think. But such is the irresistible nature of truth, that all it asks, and all it wants, is the liberty of appearing. The sun needs no inscription to distinguish him from darkness, and no sooner did the American governments display themselves to the world than despotism felt a shock and man began to contemplate redress.